The International Association for Near-Death Studies presents NDE Radio, a weekly exploration of near-death experiences and similar encounters with the other side. Now, here's your host, Lee Whitting.
Why do some people have near-death experiences? What do NDEs mean, and what are we supposed to do about them? Welcome to NDE Radio, brought to you by IANS, the International Association for Near-Death Studies. I'm your host, Lee Whitting. One of the questions we hear from near-death experiencers who call us at IANS is, why did this happen to me? The answers, of course, can be quite different for each individual, and sometimes it takes years for the answer to become apparent. Sometimes it evolves into a change of values, a new career, or change in relationships. Sometimes there are residual gifts, such as a deeper love for humanity and the earth, sometimes a spiritual calling, sometimes a clairvoyance that gives a deeper understanding of the nature of reality itself. Our guest today was our guest last Monday on NDE Radio, and if you're listening to this show as an archive, you should first listen to last week's show as an introduction. Our guest, Leonard Rogers, drives a cab in Plano, Texas, and we first learned of Leonard in an interview with Amy Stringer when he gave us an account of his NDE in the 2011 summer issue of Vital Signs, the quarterly newsletter Rhonda Bailey and I produce for IANS. On last week's show, Leonard discussed in detail a remarkable NDE he had at the age of 3, in which he saw a preview of the life he is now living. This week, I hope to explore some thoughts on how such a thing could happen and what it says about time and the nature of our life on Earth. Leonard, welcome back to NDE Radio.
Thank you for having me back, Lee.
It's good to hear your voice. Why don't you begin by giving us a brief review of what we discussed last week?
Well, I guess I can start at the end of the healing. I was pretty much, trying to cope with everything and going on about my life. Now, from time to time, as over the past years, I would have an old girlfriend pop up in my head. Mm-hmm. And
let me go back just a second, Leonard. The healing was an aneurysm that they had detected, right? Yeah. I don't know if we got. Did we get into the detail of that? I don't think
we got up into there, and then it ended pretty quickly after that.
The fact that the doctors first discovered an aneurysm, were about to do some surgery, and then they couldn't find any trace of it.
Yes, that's correct. I was having some headaches, and I eventually went to the hospital and was diagnosed with an aneurysm, and they were preparing to give me emergency surgery. And at the time, I was going through some things with my mother as far as all of this, and I had some questions she had some questions as far as, the reality to all of this, and I was hoping that the aneurysm could go away as a bit of proof for her, and as it happened, that did, and she I don't know if she believes it or not still, but the aneurysm did go away. So, and I've been trying to deal with everything as a result afterwards.
Right. So then after that, well, you continue from where you wanted to when we first started.
Okay. Well, after the aneurysm, I had been, from time to time over the years, I would have an old girlfriend pop in my mind. And we were together in high school, and I had to move away, of course, and I received one phone call from her, and on that phone call, she told me that she thought she might have been pregnant, and I never heard from her again. So over the years, from time to time, I would think about her, and I within a couple of days, I would try to look up on the internet and see if I could at least hear from her, see how things are going, how life had treated her, and that happened over and over, for over the course of years. So I'm doing this one day after not long after the aneurysm, I had this happen to me again. So I'm trying to look for her. And of course, I don't find her, but I just happened to notice a young man with her last name at the bottom of the page. So I said, well, maybe he's some kin to her. So I took a chance and I contacted the young man. And I said, I think I might know your mother. And I gave him a little background on her. And to my surprise, he confirmed that, yes, this was indeed his mother. At which time, he then told me that she had also been dead since he was 10. Now, I was taken aback, from hearing that because, after all these years, I was like wondering, why would I be thinking about her all these years? So I asked him if he could send me some pictures of her at least. So he sent me some pictures of her and the family. And as I'm looking at one of the pictures that he sent me with him on it, I noticed that it looked rather familiar. So as I'm reshaping it and resizing it to get a good look at his features, I realized that he had just sent me the same exact picture that I talked about in the previous show that was paused on when I was 3 years old.
Right, when you were having that preview of your life, you saw his face. Yes,
I was going through the preview, and at one point in time, it stopped on one particular picture. And I realized when I was looking at that picture, now I'm 3, I realized when I was looking at that picture that I was looking at a picture of my son. Now, the feeling that I had when I looked at that picture, I now realize was the exact emotion that I felt the day that I saw that picture on the internet. So it's like I was feeling the emotions of the day that I saw. Or the day that he actually saw me the picture.
Yes.
So it's at this point now, Lee, I realize that this is my son. And that was, just you can't prepare yourself to find a son you never knew you had. I mean, how do you prepare for that, Lee? So, yes, I've met him since this is all unfolded. I've met him, and we get along as if we've known each other all of these years. And we talk about it, and he's a nice young man. Of course, he has his issues as any other young man of his age, but for the most part, I'm proud of the way he was able to come up, and without either one of his parents being there. So, with that being said, we're just growing and trying to get to know each other better. But all of this is really shown to be an incredible life so far, and I just wonder what's to come, Lee.
Well, I'm wondering, have you told your son this story?
Yes, I have. And
what did he think?
Well, I was skeptical at first, but I didn't want to hold anything back. I wasn't going to, sugarcoat anything or say anything other than what was the truth. And that's exactly what I presented to him. And he accepted it as the truth and told me some things about himself that, made me realize why he would believe something like that. So it went by kind of easily, kind of good.
That's good. Does he have an understanding of NDEs from what you've told him?
Well, he's trying to understand them now. I don't know if he realized or understood, that much about them at the time. But we've dialogued and, get to know each other, and him learning about NDEs is him getting to know his father, really. So, yes, he's learning about it as we speak. And
now, I'm one of the neat things that you told about when you were describing your near-death experience when you were 3 years old and hit by that car was the woman that called to you. Did you recognize her? Do you see any indication of who she might be, or could she even be the woman who later died? The mother of the child when he was 10.
I don't know, Lee, but I will tell you this: I was as comfortable going to her or communicating with her as I would have been with my own mother. So it's like it wasn't even a thought of who she was at the time. because I just felt comfortable with her. No, I wonder about that to this day, to be honest with you.
Whether that was a deceased relative or friend or perhaps another kind of spirit.
Yeah, I've asked if we had any deceased relatives that could possibly been, and I can't confirm anybody that it could have been. So that's one of the questions that I have with me. I take daily. So I can't answer that one for you, Lee. I don't know who that one was, but I know I was comfortable with her. I know I was comfortable with her.
Wow. Your experience raises so many questions about the nature of time, because there you were 3 years old, you had a preview of major events in your life that hadn't even happened yet. The title of the article in our Vital Signs magazine was The 3-Year-Old Father, because there you were 3 years old and yet recognizing a picture or a vision of your own son to be. Have you given some thought as to what how time works when you think about your experience?
Every day, Lee, every day of my life. And that's why, this is an ongoing process for me, to learn. I use other people's NDEs and their experiences to learn. Just like I would, when I was into church, I would, resort to the Bible to learn. Well, to me, Lee, these are my new confirmation or Bibles, if you would. These are how I gain understanding is from the experiences of other people. I have to give them credibility because it happened to me. So, if I can learn something in life from what somebody else has went through, then of course I'm going to implement it in my life. And that's what I do now. That's why I go to meetings to interact with other people who have had NDEs, to see if there are similarities between my experience and theirs. I don't know if you know Jan Holden, but she was one of the first people that I got in contact with as far as NDE and going to meetings, and basically facilitated all of this.
Well, she's a good person to be in touch with, that's for sure.
She is good people.
So, what do you think? Now, these are philosophical questions that philosophers have discussed forever, but the question of free will, if you know your whole life has been laid out there before you even live it, do you think that takes anything away from your free will decisions as to what you want to do and where you want to go and who you're going to be?
I don't know. I've been, pondering these questions, and I have a couple of hypotheses or guesses, and this is just something I'm trying to come up with. I believe that maybe we all have caught a glimpse of our life. I don't think I'm anything special or anyone special. I believe that, to make sense of it all, maybe this is all some type of school that we go to. And upon graduating, we basically, that's what we call death. Or that when we leave, that's basically this is not the reality that, it's like that reality supersedes this one. So with that being said, it's like, yes, free will does come into play if, say for instance, you mapped out your life, and at the end of your life, there's a set place that you're supposed to be. Well, free will dictates which roads you lead to that end destination. That's the way I'm looking at it. Just something I've come up with. I don't know if that's fact or not, but I'm trying to make sense of it all myself. So maybe that's a scenario. Right. I don't know.
Well,
that's why
you're not the first person who's tried to figure this one out, Leonard. St. Paul said we're already seated in the heavenlies. In other words, it's almost as if we're sitting up there in heaven already, looking down at our physical bodies like they're some kind of avatar in a game, and we're playing out our life.
Exactly.
Playing out our lives.
Because I remember looking at my body, Lee, it was like I had no concern about it at all. I was more concerned about the feelings and the emotions of the people that were surrounding. the accident. It's like their emotions were just, if you imagine somebody running their hand across a chalkboard, well, that's what their emotions felt like to me, and it was disturbing, at which time I believe, that was the reason that I didn't want to see it anymore.
Well, that was probably because they were horrified at your accident.
Yeah, but it was like to me, I told you on the last show, it was like having them cry over the car. It made no sense to me. Why would you be crying over the car? But to them, of course, they're crying over me. But from my perspective, it was ridiculous, almost,
Right. Now, what kind of gifts have you gotten out of this experience? Do you feel like you've got special abilities that you didn't have or you might not have had without going through all this?
Well, I wouldn't say anything. Other than some strong deja vus every now and then, no, not really. I'm more empathetic of not only, my loved ones, but other people around the world that I have no blood relation to or affiliation with at all. But when I see, like, a homeless person on the street, now I don't see just a homeless person. I see somebody who's going through these struggles of whatever type of school this is, and they're having a hard time. That's why, without a doubt, every time I see one, they can get whatever I have at the moment, because, I look at it like, well, I might not be able to help you through your daily course of life, but I can make sure that you eat right now, and
right.
It's just changed me. It's made me a better person. I will tell you that.
In other words, their school is also a part of your school.
I believe all of us. If this is not it, and there's something after this, well, and that something supersedes this, well, then what's the purpose of all of this that we're living in? That's the only thing I come up with is some type of school of some kind. I don't know if that's the truth. Like I said, that's just a guess of mine. But if you had to make sense of it some kind of way, and that's what I came up with.
Now, you said when you were 3 and you had this accident that you could see halos around people.
Yeah.
Do you still have that from time to time?
No. No, I can't say that I see halos around people, but at the time, oh yeah, I could see it was a bluish green type of color, and but I can't see it, in this reality, no.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty good with emotions. I can pretty much sense when somebody's having a bad day, even if they're hiding it. I don't know. I'm pretty good on reading emotions, though.
Now, you're encountering people all the time in your job as a cab driver. Do you ever get into conversations like this with them?
Well, no. I wouldn't say never, but there are times when I feel like the person may need to hear it. Because as a cab driver, you can imagine I hear a lot, and I hear a lot of details of people's lives, and I can tell when, like I said, I can read emotions. So if all of that, and for one, I look at it like this, what would be the purpose of them getting into my cab? The one person
exactly.
that might have the ability to give them something, excuse me, that they can take with them and make them feel a little bit better. So, I just look at it like I'm being used as a vessel to help others. Now, I don't say this to everybody, but if I feel it, of course, I won't hide it. I'll let them know exactly what I believe is the truth, and hope it helps them. And of course, I've had some reactions that where I could tell that their lives would change forever. So I would look at it like I'm being used as a vessel. I don't know how long I'll be a cab driver, but for now, that's the route that's being taken.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a chaplain at a hospital, and in a lot of ways we have similar jobs. I never know the person whose room I'm going into until I'm in there, and what's on their mind until I start talking to them. And I know I've had cab rides where a cab driver's given me enormously good advice, so I can appreciate your situation.
Yep, you meet all kinds. I would say that, Lee. You meet all kinds. But I've met a lot of good people.
Let me give that number out once again. If anyone wants to call in, we still have a few minutes left. You can call 888-463-6748 if you'd like to join our conversation with Leonard. Leonard, what did you feel that your interest in religion was influenced by your NDE?
Well, that's one thing that I wonder about, because I had questions about some religion, to be honest with you, and and all of it, and the truth to all of it. But the one thing I can say, without a doubt, is that I believe the person I spoke with was Jesus, because a 9-year-old girl, when she was 4, she's been painting since she was 4. She painted a portrait of Jesus, and that's the person. I mean, the portrait was an exact replica of the person. I'm talking about down to every hair strand, Lee, of the person I talked to. So I would have to say that if nothing else, I believe Jesus is real, and I'm trying to get an understanding of all of it, So
now I think this may be the same portrait that I've heard about from other places, but do you recall where you saw that picture, or could you tell the listeners where you saw it?
It was on the internet. It was on YouTube. Her name is Anna. I do not know her last, and I do know her last name. Her first name was Anna, and that's about it.
Okay, so you haven't been back to look at it again then? I have heard a similar story from another NDEer who saw a picture. I'm wondering if it's the same picture, but I guess we can't confirm that right now. If you'd like to join the conversation, give us a call, 888-463-6748. Anyway, I'm wondering. Tell me a little bit about what it felt like when you had your interview with Amy Stringer. And this is purely the question of an editor about an interviewer. Was it? Did she bring out things that you'd forgotten about, or how did that go?
Well, it was pretty much conducted. I think she did a great job. She was a good interviewer. I mean, I pretty much told her all of the details that I told you about, and she edited, and I was pleased with the finished product. So I don't have anything else to say than that she did a great job, Lee.
How did you connect with her? Did you contact IANS and then they contacted her?
That was actually through Jan Holden.
Good.
Yes, it was through Jan Holden. I had been going to a few meetings with her, I'd say, for about the past few months, and we got to know each other pretty good. And she then got me in contact with Amy, and from there it was just a snowball effect, I guess.
And the other question I wanted to ask you, Leonard, was: are there any local IANS groups in your general area down there in Plano?
Well, the only one that I know of is the one that Jan is running, but I'm sure that there may be others because I haven't been to a meeting with Jan in at least I'd say at least a year, maybe a little less. So I wouldn't know, but I will be finding that out because I want to be able to, if they need me to talk, at one of those meetings, to make myself available. So that's one of the things I will be finding out here shortly.
That's great. One of the great things about the local groups is the fact that people do get to share their NDEs, or if they haven't had an NDE, to learn about them, because as you say, they are almost like, they are equivalent to a religious experience, a mystical experience, that people can learn a lot about the nature of reality and the world beyond this world. just by studying NDEs and similar mystical experience.
Yeah,
well, Leonard, I think we've just about used up another half hour.
It goes so quickly, especially when you have difficulties. But
well, that's a part of the problem when we're for the listeners that don't know, we're all talking. You're talking from Texas. I'm talking from Maine. We're going through Chicago at Talk Zone, and so many glitches can happen anywhere along the line. But I certainly appreciate your being with us, Leonard, one more time, and giving us some more of the philosophy of your near-death experience than we had time for in the first show. So, Leonard, have a Merry Christmas.
You too, Lee.
And I look forward to meeting you in person one of these days. Maybe we can get together at one of the IANS conferences. I think the next one is going to...
Yeah.
All right. Very good. So once again, I want to thank Leonard Rogers for being our guest for last week and today on NDE Radio. And for those listeners who know about how the shows are archived, if you'd like to listen to this program again, it will be archived along with our other shows at nderadio.org. And for those who want to learn more about near-death experiences and related mystical experience, and to learn more about IANS generally, I would suggest that you go to our website for the International Association for Near-Death Studies. That's at iands.org. We wish you all a Merry Christmas and a happy 2014, and we'll be back next Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern for more NDE Radio. Thanks for listening.